Some say my intros are gonna be legendary, man. Welcome to another episode of Live in the Living Room. I am one of your hosts, Double R410, along with my homeboy Shy Boogie in the house.
What's up, y'all?
And off to my left is my boy DT.
What's up, guys?
Right into it. We in full house tonight, and welcome to the dinner. Now, we got two topics tonight I thought were very, very unique. I really like the fact of bringing it up. The first topic is the revolution. Shocked me. Didn't think that, the children at this age bracket in this generation even was interested in that. So this tonight is going to definitely be a good one. And the other one after that will be the school shooting. So let's jump right in. We're going to go right in with Shy Boogie, straight from the top. Come on, Shy. It was your topic. Why did you pick revolution?
Revolution?
Yeah.
Because revolution makes change, you know?
Makes change?
It makes change.
You nervous? So before we begin, let me tell you what a revolution is. A revolution is when one or a group of people basically try to take over the government because they don't like what's happening. They want to change everything from religion aspects to the financial part to the political part. That's what a revolution is. And he said, I want to talk about a revolution. Right now, I think we are headed into a revolution. I will say that. I think we are headed into a way that we haven't really pictured it. We haven't really thought about it. I think a lot of people are nervous. A lot of people are scared. Things are changing from the way you have to protect yourself to the way things are being handled after you protect yourself. So I'm going to ask you again, why revolution?
Why revolution in general?
Yeah. It's a long thought.
I gotta think about revolution.
It's a long thought.
Yeah, I'm not lying. I'm still thinking about it. You want to start it off?
Okay. You want to start it off?
Okay. Revolution.
You got a mouthful of chicken. It's an eating night. I'm just letting everybody know it's an eating night.
Well, I think it's a good topic because not a lot of people understand that when it comes to revolution, there's character traits to this. Like, there's power, politics, debates, and so much more. And when you sit here and you're dealing with a revolution, you're dealing with an argument based off everybody's opinions and what they believe in, and about what everybody thinks is right or wrong. Lately, I haven't really heard much about a lot of revolutions lately, I'll be honest. But based on what I heard previous in the past, I just think it's about power. Everybody wants something out of it, and they want for it to be structured and strong-holded into a certain situation of an economy. So, a revolution, I also think of it like a small group, like you said, that sit there and wants to, put something out there in a certain way.
I want to elaborate on the word power for a minute. And it's funny because that's something that travels from generation to generation, just like greed. Mm-hmm. And when people have that in their mind, that they want to become the main source, the main power, the main ingredient to everything that goes on around this country, something is wrong. We built this country on what most people would call a House of Representatives, but I always like to use the word parliament. And I know a lot of people don't know what a parliament is. I'll explain it to you one day, but for now I'm just going to give you the short version. The parliament basically runs the country. They're the people who implement how your dollars are spent, how they're taken in, how they're put out, how much they will increase. They determine everything that inspires this country to move forward. Now, with that said, you have some people who can't stay in the parliament. Why is that? Because most people don't like organized structure. Most people like things the way they like them. So if you see a person who you feel is not maybe neat or maybe not, most people call them hoarders, those people are the most organized people in the world because they can find things before you can. So I just wanted to elaborate and let everybody understand that sometimes when we get into these situations where the revolution is starting to form, and by the way, we are in a small revolution already. This country is about to go to war with itself. Most people think it's over. It's going to be like the Civil War, and I don't think that's the case. You know, just the other day, we had a situation that took place where you got people now starting to feel it's okay to attack the police station.
Yes.
And that's part of a revolution. When you get people who will get together with a band of people to take over an environment, reconstruct a living situation, or even worse, try to just dominate the whole facility in which they can run it, make their rules, make their decisions. We already in a revolution. We already in them times. So like I said, I thought it was a good topic. I know why you think it. I know you're a little nervous because but usually Shy Boogie comes up with some real good topics, and I thought that was one of them. You don't have to always know a lot to talk about something. Sometimes it's a process of learning, and like, I want to know. Certain things you're not going to know. Certain words are not used anymore within this government, so we have to take our time, people. We have to understand what we're dealing with and why we're dealing with it. In that case, let's go right into the second topic because it all can boil into one: the school shootings. Go ahead.
I feel like with like school shooting and revolutions, right?
He lives.
At the end of the day, they could be kind of brought up into the same category because revolutions, like you mentioned, is in a way mainly like D Boogie said, is like about power, and it's like with school shooters, it's not something like, it's not a good thing in my eyes, and I think for most people, but at the same time, it's more of a like, people would do stuff to be recognized, and that kind of falls into revolution. And like, people that do school shootings might think, oh, they're starting some type of revolution by shooting up the school, but at the same time, you don't know what this person went through or what's going on in their head.
Right.
Because a lot of people don't like standing up for themselves, because it goes back to the topic of social media and like the publicity out there. It's like a lot of people feel like it's not okay to feel type of emotion, because people are really judgy nowadays, and it's like it's more known than it was before, because social media is the most out there that it's ever been. So I feel like it ties into a similar topic when you talk about school shooting and revolutions.
Go ahead.
For me, first thing first, I like this topic because before, I'll be honest, I wasn't really into school shootings and like reading articles about it, documentaries and stuff like that. I wasn't really into it until me and my partner started actually sitting out and watching it, and I caught interest in it. So before we get into that, I just want to say school shootings that I noticed, it happens outside of New York. It doesn't really happen inside New York that much. That I know, it's like some like in Texas, some is like other places like that.
It's not really around here.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not really
city-like area.
It's more like them countryside type of places.
And
Well, not necessarily.
I feel like it's because it's more known in the countryside, but there's probably a lot here. That's what we don't know.
I'm gonna say that the difference between a school shooting that happens in the city and the school shooting that happens in your rural areas, your wide open fields, like I know what you guys are saying, your country part of the state. Most of the times, with the city schools, you can't get inside with a gun because of the metal detectors. So basically, that's one reason. The second reason that They do have shootings, but most of the shootings happen outside the schools, not inside the
Right.
schools. They usually happen in front of the schools, not necessarily in the schools. But the shootings that do take place in the school, you have to wonder, after the first two, each school should have been well equipped with the situation, and no one's prepared. I don't care how many times you see it, how many times you go through it. No one is prepared for a school shooting, and that in itself is a revolution. Is a revolution within itself, because that one person took it upon himself to change things. Now, mind you, we're talking about children.
Not grown figures.
Well, in a way, they are grown figures. You know, the body may be grown, but the mind is still growing. You know, the mind never stops growing. When it reaches a certain capacity, to me, the mind explodes. That's when you start going through it, you forgetting things, because the mind starts to overlap itself. But in my case, I'm going to say that, you know, they are grown. It takes a person of knowledge and understanding, first of all, how to work a gun. Especially the guns that they're using nowadays. These AR-15s, these AKA-47s. Like this is something that you can find on YouTube. You know, but I'm right. Am I right?
Yes, you are right.
Yes, I'm telling you, it's and the thing is, like I explain these like, and I know Terrence, my son, and by the way, our show is sponsored by Gorilla 2K and Mr. Irrelevant. Appreciate you guys for always sponsoring the show. Make sure you check out Mr. Irrelevant and Gorilla 2K YouTube, Facebook, and on Instagram. So what I was saying is, you know, like I said, I started off by saying Terrence hates for me to always mention this, but I always bring up the gun buybacks, because in these buybacks, and you don't get the kids who are in the city returning the appropriate weapons. It's usually people who come from far away, farmhouses, who own homes, old grandfather's guns and things like that. They come and they just give them away because these things are laying around the house. But there is a problem with our school shootings, and it's no way to solve that.
I feel like the reason my fault.
No, go.
I feel like the reason why it's like most of these cases that come out are in the rural area, because you gotta realize it falls back on, let's say, this city, like right here. Like NYPD is the largest police department in the whole country, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Just about, yeah.
And you gotta realize in a lot of these country/rural areas, there's not much cops on the local streets like there are here. And it's like there's mainly like sheriffs that come here and there, breeze by. So it's like you could get away with more stuff, I guess, with that opportunity that they have than we do in the city. If that, you know.
But we have cops on every corner.
That's what I'm saying. And it's
and
like
we still have shootings.
We still do, but the reason why I feel like a lot of these kids get access, like, you know, like most of these cases that he said that come out in the news are like, let's say, Texas or, you know, out there in the rural areas, right? And I feel like that's due to the fact that because it's been like a generational thing where they have the weapons. They gotta learn through somebody, whether it's through YouTube or somebody from the family. And it's like them doing that, it's like there's so much you could get away with. I'm not saying like they get away with everything, but there's so much they could get away with just due to the fact that, you know, there's cops everywhere here, but then you could get away with more over there because there's only like sheriff counties, and occasionally you see a cop over there. Not as much as we do in the city.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I feel like they'll use more.
I agree to a certain point.
Also, it's like when you talk about school shootings, like let's just talk about school shootings just itself. Like a lot of people would say, what causes school shooting, right? Mm-hmm. And there's multiple things, right? The important one is bullying. Whether it's social media, whether it's in class, in person, bullying, problems at home, right? Probably mental health. There's a lot of things, but one thing I noticed more based off reading these documentaries or looking at certain articles that's like been on the news or been out there in different channels news was like bullying. Now, I was speaking with my partner about specifically bullying. So it's like how do you help a person who is getting bullied and they keep coming to mom, dad, counselors, everybody else, and nobody wants to help them? What choice do they really have, right? Because everybody says, hey, you're wrong for shooting up the school, right? Or you're wrong for shooting innocent kids who had nothing to do with it, whether they was laughing with that kid who was bullying you or not. But you're wrong for shooting. Okay, I'm wrong for shooting these kids, right? But what options are you giving me to prevent from this happening? How can you help me?
You know, as a person who used to coach youth basketball, one of the hardest things was, you touched something there, was watching the young kids grow up who really didn't have the proper attire in the house, who didn't eat properly, who were being bullied in school, who some felt like joining the gang was something they had to do, or they would pick up a gun or buy a gun because they felt safe walking through the neighborhood, or until you as a coach, and this is why I tell people where the level begins, because when you involve with youth and you become the teacher of their environment, and I'm not talking about where they live, the teacher of their environment, which means is when they're in your environment, they're in your presence, it's your way of life. If that child is happy with the way you are presenting your way of life to teach them to move forward, then that child will continue to be part of your program. He'll open up to you. He'll let you know there's certain things. But a lot of these parents and these teachers, officers, judges, a lot are put on their shoulders for one child. One child may have to deal with 5 different adults in order for him just to prosper in life. Because some people may feel he got EP or whatever you call that. Some people may feel he has a mental issue. And 9 out of 10 times, they might be right. It might be a mental problem that a child can't usually get over. Every morning he wakes up, he sees the same thing. Every morning he goes to bed, he sees the same thing. When he gets out into certain programs, that might be his escape. But what if he doesn't escape? And you're right. You got bullying. You got, and bullying, and I just want to make this clear, bullying is not just done by children. It's done by adults too. Mm-hmm. Adults pick on children too and tell children like, yo, you're not dressed right. You're not this, you're not that. Or it's hard. People watch me and they always say, yo, man, I think you're a little hard on your children. Yeah, but how hard you think somebody else is going to be on them when life starts to hit them? You think they're going to worry about how bad dad was? Man, my dad was hard. No, you know what they're going to say? Now I understand what he means. People mistake harsh reality or a misguided conduct as, man, that's kind of a bad behavior. Mm-hmm. But understand that if you don't correct what the youth is going through now, by the time they 16 and 17, what you going to try to correct? They already set in their ways. You can't, what you going to try? Lock them up, beat it out of them, take away? It's hard. That's why I always appreciate when I sit down and I talk to you guys. Even with you too, Miss Jane. I love sitting down because to know the knowledge of the youth is something that a lot of people my age don't usually get to do. We don't have these sit downs. We don't get to talk. We don't get to share. And that's what the table's like. They looking at the camera. All they can see is the vision, but they can't see the whole aspect of how we got here.
And it's like there's always like an origin to everything. Like
right,
there's always a beginning.
That's right.
It's like, for my example, right? Like my parents, right? They don't understand like the way things are now, like through my generation, because the way they had it was like, oh, we in America, now we gotta do what we gotta do to make money, this, that. But it's like there's so many other things that go on besides that, because I'm a first generation here, so it's like they're not gonna see what I'm going through same way I probably don't see what they went through, because it's just different, And it's like they not understand like the understanding of how like our generation goes through stuff, because like it's like they were taught a certain way, so it's like everything has a beginning to it and like an origin to it.
Yeah, I agree. You know what's crazy? Talk about this. We was talking about school shooting, and Miss Jane has something important that she really wanted to say.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
So,
I
you-
said, this is one that
So look,
I've been itching to
we
talk about.
we
Yeah,
have our
speak up.
headphones
You
on,
can- you can hear
but
it.
we can still hear you, so you can talk. Come on.
You can talk. It's loud.
Yeah.
Trust me.
I'm waiting to.
You okay. Just speak loud so we can
So we can hear
you
you.
can hear you. It's an open platform. If I'd have known, I'd have dropped the extra mic down there for you.
Well, with school shootings, I feel like it's a lack of security issue. Here, we have metal detectors. We have security guards at the front desk. We have people that check bags. But I watched a documentary of the Parkland shooting, and this kid was able to just wear the school uniform and walk right into the school and just do what he needed to do. I don't think that would happen here. I feel like the main issue is lack of security.
But metal detectors wise or physical presence of a security, because remember now, school security don't carry guns.
Sure, John.
Yeah.
School security don't see, and this is why I tell people you got to. If you was a school security guard and you had some lunatic, now I'm not even going to lie to you. I may take the opportunity to try my best to shield these kids, but there's not much I can do without a gun. Now you might not want to have your security guard walk through the school with the gun, because somebody in the school might take the gun. You know, you might get a kid say, "Hey, we might jump the security guard and take the gun from school." But I'm just saying, like, guns play a major factor in everything a child does. He's going to come across using a gun at least once in his life, whether it be a toy, video game, whether it be real. He's going to come across it because they're designed all over the world. One of the biggest fake guns ever made in the world was Nerf. You can play that brung on tag wars and all of that. That brung on all that laser tag and all that. What's the matter, sister? You the food is almost ready. We're gonna get to you. You did want it. What you wanted to sit? You wanted to talk? You sure?
Sure.
So my whole thing is that we have to look at the aspect of what's happening to our youth. We are already designed to say, hey, we know what a gun is. You bring a Nerf gun to a kid, he'll click it, cock it. Look at little man. He clicks it, cock it, put it back in, load it, pulls the hammer down, and shoots it. To him, that's funny. I'm telling you. To him, that's funny. He run up to you, shoot. Got you. Yeah. But not knowing that this is the beginning of reality. And that's how I say, like I tell you, school shooting and revolutions go together. Mind you, a child who's 16 years old, like you said, not understanding his parents. You know? And I always said that the reason why you get certain parents who can communicate with certain children is not because the parent doesn't understand. The parent understands fully. The parent understands more than you think. Now, it could be a case of some parents are overprotective, yes. Some parents are a little leeway, yes. Some parents might be leeway, but the child can't leave the premises. And what I mean by that, he may be able to go blocks, but not travel that far. It all depends on the parent and who the parent knows. Because you may see a child walk out of here freely, but all eyes are on him. Because his parents might know everybody he know along the route he taking. So that's where some of that freedom comes from. And then, like you said, your parents, they just moved here. You're the first generation. So I know a lot of crimes are not new to them. But crime to the city, in the inner city, you know, maybe the first time they heard gunfire erupt in your neighborhood, or police running up and down the road in your neighborhood, or ambulance, or fire trucks. Like certain of these things may happen in all these countries, but may not happen like they happen in New York City. The environment is different here.
Especially because not only that, to add to that, this is back the 80s, 90s. They were like it was when Harlem was on crack, so it was even worse back then.
Crack never went nowhere. Once it came, it never left. There's no drug that came in New York City
That never left.
Never left. They just pick and choose what they want to use when they want it. Maybe that era was crack. Cocaine is still around. Now it's fentanyl.
Yeah.
So I'm not cutting you off, so please go ahead.
It's like, what's it called? Like, I always heard it through, like, different people. New York was more, well, it was more crazier back then than it is now. Like, you know, especially the Bronx, Harlem, Manhattan. It wasn't the way it is now.
Yes, it was. Lord knows.
So it's like, I can imagine. I'm like, you know, it probably must have been rough back then.
It was. The difference is, and it's a slight difference. I'm gonna just say it's a slight difference because you guys have more social media to entertain you.
I think social media is a big difference in my opinion.
Yeah, in the time, but that's the only slightly different because people still shooting each other, people still stabbing each other,
Yeah.
they're still robbing. The trains are still dangerous. People still hopping the bus. School bus drivers are still leaving kids. You're still running over kids in the street. Nothing has changed except you can see it now because social media gives you a certain platform. Yeah. So, you know, the crime hasn't changed. It just become noticed. Police officers have been whooping ass for years. But now that you got cameras out and people got cell phones with cameras,
You can see it more.
you can see it more. Now people got cameras everywhere. So,
You get anything broadcasted easily.
yeah, so the reality of I always tell a kid is not that your parents don't understand, is that, you know, some parents haven't grown with the environment.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, some people I'm one of them parents who are stuck in time. I had to learn to do certain things. I had to learn how to work a camera. I still haven't learned how to work my iPhone, but I got one. I mean, it says you say hello and somebody say hello back. I had to learn how to swipe 1,000 times before I could even get it right.
It falls back on adaptation really as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Adaptation. Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
We gotta keep that as a topic.
Come around and check the chicken.
Yeah, what I'm talking about.
Huh?
Yeah.
I said, yeah. No, it's okay though.
Check the chicken. Can you do that? Just turn it off. My friends, check the chicken for me. I don't want it to burn. So it's just like we all go through a process. And being a parent, I realized that I had a lot to learn too, especially with this day and time. I was basically supposed to be finished as a parent. I should be enjoying something else, but I had 2 more. So that changed my whole aspect of learning, reading, writing. You know, I had to learn things all over again in order to deal with my next generation. You know, and the fact that I got 2 that are in school. I have one who's partially in the Army, and you know, it's like that's overwhelming for somebody like myself, who's lived in the Bronx all his life. Who, you know, all I knew was work, you know, and play, but things have changed. It has changed just slightly because of social media. Everybody has a platform.
You know, I think because me and Shah was talking about it. We were talking about, like, I think it was the 1900s you said, where we go to Harlem and see how, like, things lived back in the days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, I'm not saying it was safe, but I think it was more, you know, enjoyable.
Because people are always on their phones now, and like if you look at any clips on YouTube, my fault, of Harlem or anything in general, like New York in general,
Everybody's on their phone.
everybody's outside back then, you know, playing basketball and whatnot, you know. And that's something we do, like, you know, not to upgrade ourselves, but we don't like it. The thing is, we don't like staying inside most of the time. Like, you know, we like adventuring out to different places, to parks and stuff.
Yeah.
When he's in the mood to, you know.
I'm always in the mood.
That's all like me and Tom.
I was literally out yesterday with my wife. We went to New Jersey and we went to this exotic pets reptile show. Came out real nice. We was in, if I'm saying it right, Lodi, New Jersey. That's where we was at. Yeah, shout out to New Jersey exotic pets. They got good pets in there. We bought one. We came back with a nice little animal.
Man, it said Bronx Zoo not good enough.
Nah, they boring.
It's a big difference, right?
Oh yeah, out there in Jersey, especially that part.
That's perfect.
I ain't gonna lie.
Let's see if it's not red inside.
I 100% like the area. Like this one part that we was driving through. I forgot the name of the street, but I know it was like 2 blocks before you hit Loading, New Jersey. They had a whole neighborhood just for vets. Like we was in the Marines, Navy, and they had like their like on the side had like poles with their name and stuff on there and everything about them, because like, they had family members who still lived in that community. So like after a certain point, you leave out of the branches, family homes, and then you get back to like the regular civilians. And it's like the whole area, while like is diverse in that area. So a lot of people are like, oh, you go to Jersey, not to be racist, you see a lot of white people and that. But now part like it's not just white people. Like you see little, Muslims there, a little bit of African American there. But it's real nice.
It's because our minds are like, it's like we grew up like around here, in my case Harlem. It's like for us it's like we grew up in a city. It's like there's so much you don't see that's outside out there.
Yeah.
So that's why we tend to appreciate it more than other people would, because we go out to see it. Like for me, when I went to Buffalo, there was this one street, I don't know where. It had a picture of every neighbor that passed away in that block from the 80s, 90s on each block. And then it's like communication there in Buffalo. Matter of fact, in Toronto.
Careful, Keller.
When I went to what's the name of this tower? The Skylon Tower, yes.
I've heard
Shout
of
out to the Skylon Tower.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
People are so nice. Like you could just ask for them to take nice pictures of you. The other day when I was there, some random girl just came up and was like, "Excuse me," and she showed me a newspaper picture of me. So I'm like, so then she was like, "Oh, I took a picture of you when you were walking." And it's like if you do that in New York, it's like who are you?
Yeah.
But then they're like, "Would you like more pictures?" And I'm like, "Do I pay you?" She's like, "No, it's up to you. If you want to pay, it's okay. If you don't, it's okay." I'm like, wow. It's like a whole different world out there.
You see how you two are talking right now? How you both experience life outside the Bronx, right?
Mm-hmm.
But beginning this whole conversation, you guys said that's where 90% of the school shootings take place.
Mm-hmm.
In areas like that. So I'm asking, if you come across an area that looks that good, but has a high rate of school shootings. Now, it's not everybody. I'm just saying, because they usually happen in those. And you're right, they do. Those are the ones that make the news. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
The ones that make the news.
Mm-hmm.
What can be possibly wrong if you're looking at an environment that looks healthy,
mm-hmm.
but has the dirtiest secret of them all?
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's your children committing the crimes and other children in school.
The way I look at it is, I'll keep the mindset, there's no such thing as a safe place in the world. So it's like, whether we move, for example, let's say we move to New Jersey or freaking Texas, wherever we meet, it's crime happening anywhere. And school shooting is just one of our worries when it comes to crime, because it involves assaulting, stuff like that, probably murder or attempted murder. Like, in full category, but my thing is, when you get into any environment, you're gonna have different type of crimes, robbery, different type of charges that people could catch in this area. But like, you try to make the best of it the best way you could.
But most people are mistaken that a nice area, and I shouldn't say mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Most people feel that if the area is nice, the crime is low.
Which is, in my opinion, wrong.
I mean, look, we have several places in the Bronx that are very, very beautiful, or very, very high end. But that doesn't mean crime doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Crime comes in waves. It doesn't have to necessarily be shootings, stabbings. You got robberies. You have misunderstanding of men using women. I didn't want to use the rape word because but you know what? I'm not going to hide. Rape is not a dirty word. It's a word that every young lady should understand. So you have rape, you have kidnapping, you have so much of these things that go on, because if you're living in a high-end home, and you're living in a high-end part of any neighborhood, somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching you. Somebody's watching your child. However it goes, somebody's watching you. They're waiting for that opportunity. You may not know they're waiting for that opportunity, but they're waiting. Mm-hmm. They watch you. People watch how you dress, what type of jewelry you put on. Hell, they even watch women who get their hair done every other week. If you can afford to get your hair done once a week, what kind of money are you spending? Not realizing they might be spending rent money or shoe money or anything else to keep themselves looking a certain way. Mm-hmm. The aspect of the concept of someone looking. I always refer to the blind man. If a blind man could see, what would he tell? Because he already can hear everything. So imagine him putting what he sees with what he's hearing. What kind of story you think he can tell? Because the vision is a mother. Mm-hmm. It can deceive you. You know, your ears have to contract and take in sound, but your eyes, they can dance. They go blind. You gotta rub them like, what the hell? I know, I ain't, you know. But these are the concepts of these children who live in these areas. And like I said, you brought up the fact of the revolution, and I said, damn, you know, school shootings are a form of revolution.
Mm-hmm. Sure is.
It's a form of revolution. It's a child who's saying he had enough. I don't care what your rules are. I don't care what this is. This is what I'm going to do.
Mm-hmm. And it's like,
sorry. No.
It's like, you know, back to the topic. Everything has a beginning no matter what. You know, right. You could do the worst thing in the whole world, but there's a beginning to it. And also, there's a reason to everything as well. There's always two sides no matter what. There's some gray areas, but there's always going to be your side and then the opposing side.
Right.
It's not just going to happen just to happen. There's always going to be a reason behind everything.
There's a reason. So you're saying there's a reason behind every school shooting.
There's a reason behind everything, yes.
Man, I wish we could find that out. Mm-hmm. I would love to know what the reason is. Although, you know, it's just a kid probably who snapped, or most people think it's an online game that they're playing, or, you know.
It's mainly assumptions, you know? Yes. No one could never get the true story out if you just keep assuming.
Who do you think that child would tell, though? That child had to tell. In a school shooting, and even when you have a revolution, it takes people have to get involved. So this person tells this person this tells. Who do you think a child tells before he does it? He tells somebody, whether it be a friend.
Yeah, about to say a friend, or probably one of his parents who he trusts the most.
Somebody knows. So, you know, and the thing is, who's worse, the person who knows and doesn't tell, or the person who actually does the shooting? You see what I'm saying?
That's a good one. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it could be equally, really, because like, if you commit, like, let's say you about to show up to school, right? And let's say, hypothetically, if that's me trying to, you know, show up at school, hypothetically, you know, and I tell him about it, he doesn't say nothing about it. He will be equally as wrong as me, but who will end up getting the most trouble, me or him? Because if I say, I told him, there's always proof that I didn't. Like, there's not sufficient proof where you could just catch me and say, I'm gonna show up to school. Like, you know, it's like, it's they're wrong in one sense, but it's also, not to sound like a bad person, it's also smart, because if you don't, like, you could try to stop it, but it's like, what can you really do? Because that could put fear into someone's heart, and they might not want to be involved with it. So you can't really necessarily blame the person that knows, but also at the same time, it's like, you could have stopped that as well.
But how do you expect them to stop it? First of all, a person is not. I'm not approaching nobody physically with a gun. I'm not doing that. I'll make the necessary call, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It has to depend on the situation. If I know somebody with a gun about to do some bodily harm, I need to know the reason, because you know what? I might be the person carrying the gun. How do you know? You don't know. You don't know if that person. Sometimes a person get angry. They can say anything, but in these days and times, it's just proven wrong. Like, our youth are killing each other. There's no mistaking about that. What's up?
No, come on.
What happened? Come on.
She wanted me to speak for her about us.
Come on, Jane Doe. Go ahead. Speak on. But you got something to say over there, rushing somebody.
In the the Parkland shooting that I was watching, the school shooter, he went into the building and he told one kid about what he was going to do and he let him go.
He didn't say anything.
I'm not sure if he said something.
What if he was scared? What if he was told that if you tell, I'm going to shoot you too?
But he let him run out.
You can't let somebody with a gun do anything. How are you going to stop somebody with a gun if you don't have a gun? There's no equal force there.
Does the same thing apply to cops as well?
Yes. Whether the police officer has a gun or doesn't have a gun, the shooting is unjustified if you're only shooting one person's doing the shooting. There's never a justified shooting. If I'm a police officer and a man's coming at me with a knife, there's no justification of shooting him. What is the justification? In order for him to use that knife, he has to get close enough to me. With me having batons and you having, but I'm not a police officer. I can say what I want until you're in that situation.
That's true. That's definitely true.
Just like I could say what I want about a child in a school shooting, but you never know who's bullying that child. Mm-hmm. That child could be being bullied 5 days a week, come home every day, curl up in his bed, and nobody knows what's going on. I think this was a good topic. I think a lot of people who listen to us tonight have to understand that school shootings are the beginning of a revolution.
And it's like, it's hard to stop it. And it's like things will gradually get worse within time, because it's hard. No one could generally figure out what leads to certain things, because then it goes back to our society at the moment. Social media, it's a gift and a curse.
Right. It is a gift and a curse. Social media is a big gift and get out of there. It's a big gift and a curse. But you know what? Right now, social media moves the world.
Sure does.
Everything seen is reported. So maybe we got to think twice about social media. Some use it for good, some use it for bad. For those who choose to use it at all, let's hope they choose to use wise.
To add on to the social, I'm sorry.
Right.
Add on to social media. It's like I have one of my AP courses. One of my teachers, male, right? He talks about, I wish nobody under the age of 21 should have phones. And then it's like in the rest of my class, we all like, and it falls back on like the timing. It's like,
Get out of there.
I mean, like I don't see like I'm like nah. I think you should have your phone, but at the same time, like it's like for somebody like that grew up within like the generation he said he did. He gave us an assignment, and I saw like the document. It said it showed a stat sheet of the people who watch the news on television, the internet, and all these other stuff. And then I think it was the year 2000. Television was at a all-time high. And then they show one from a couple of years ago. The internet is blasting everybody out the water. Like, it's completely high. And it's like, it falls back on how strong the internet and social media itself is. It's like, it outshined the news. It's like, to a point where some people don't even really gotta watch the news. Everything you want and need is just straightly on the
Social
internet.
media. Yeah.
And it has that power.
Right in your hands. The world is in your hand when you got a smartphone.
Yeah, sure.
The world is in your hand. It's just a matter of how you use it. This was a good topic, man. I hope everybody really pays attention to what we were talking about tonight. And I hope people elaborate. I hope you make sure you comment, you subscribe. Make sure you hit the Cash App button, Living Room TRT. We are on the Cash App. I want to always thank the guys for coming through. Shy Boogie DT, you know me, Double R410. Shout out to Tone. Shout out to Jane Doe. Shout out to Big Josh. Shout out to Big Annabelle. Shout out to Marley Burgers. And especially shout out to Gorilla 2K and Mr. Relevant for sponsoring our program tonight. Appreciate you. Love you. Until we meet again, people, make sure, as Tone would say, wash your Have a good night, y'all. Anybody got shout outs? Y'all want to give shout outs? Anybody got shout out?
I want to give a shout out to my Instagram, at shotstacks_23. If y'all, I'm sorry, I went live. My phone died. It's a bad habit. Next time I'll make sure, it's more active. But, I love y'all.
Say it again. Give me your Instagram again.
Shotstacks.23.
Go ahead, man.
No,
you good? You got no shout out?
No.
Man, we love y'all, man. Always thank you. Appreciate you for joining us. You could be anywhere you wanted to be, but you always watching and listening to us. On behalf of the Living Room TRT Productions, we want to thank everybody. Catch you next time. Peace, love, and soul. Hey, hey, don't stop, baby. Don't stop now. Don't stop, baby. Ah, don't stop me.